Hey folks, this is Ram.
Hello.
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 All right, so I got some semblance of my audio settings working, so that works. Not perfectly, but there it is. So we'll see who all shows up today and see if we have any topics we want to discuss. Pulling up the doc right now. I didn't really get on the setting up topics because I was away at KubeCon and sort of occupied, and then had a sort of personal day yesterday. So don't have anything sourced from the Slack channel community, but if there's anything anyone wants to discuss, that would be great. And then I'll be sure to get a poll up for the next time for any topics people want to discuss, talk about various things surrounding the K8s community. I'm hoping I can bring in the Pinniped team at some point to talk about some auth stuff, or at least get some sort of demo around that. Because I actually managed to wrangle the lead for the Pinniped team when I was at KubeCon. So we'll see what happens with that. But if there are any topics anyone wants to bring to the table right now, go for it. Otherwise, we can kind of like talk about where the CF K8s API and controllers projects are at right now. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, any interesting conversations about CF or around PaaS over Kubernetes at KubeCon?
The conversations I had were mostly just sort of like getting people in the loop. It was very heavily Kubernetes focused, and there's not a lot of Cloud Foundry knowledge in that space. So I kind of described to people, like some people had heard of Cloud Foundry, but didn't really know exactly what it was or like what the space like operated in. So I kind of gave them the brief overview and then like talked about the ongoing efforts around bringing the easy developer experience to that. Because at KubeCon it was mostly focused on the actual orchestration rather than the developer experience. So most people I talked to were like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, that's nice to be able to bring the experience to give developers an easy path to deploying software. So they seemed receptive. But yeah, I chatted with a bunch of the various SIG tech leads and whatnot, which are pretty cool. For those of you that are joining at this point, I'm leaving the floor open for any topics people want to discuss. I didn't get to putting up a poll because last week was pretty busy with KubeCon and whatnot. And so if there's anything anyone wants to discuss, then feel free to throw it on the agenda right now. And we can talk about it. I'll be sure to put up a poll for the next one in 2 weeks. But yeah. Any other topics anyone wants to bring to the table?
I put up on the doc a technical topic that a couple of people on the team had. I'm happy to defer it till later if there's if there's something better to talk about. But anyway, I'll just do it right now.
Go for it.
So a couple of people on our team were trying to integrate Irene controller with our process custom resource, and they were running into issues with the way you install Irene controller, which has you declare upfront what namespaces you want it to operate in, and it wasn't working well with our new approach with the hierarchical namespaces and allowing users to create namespaces on the fly. So they wanted to ask the true Irene experts what y'all recommend for this.
We actually today worked on that topic and we expanded our kind deployment script to also deploy Irene. So as per pre-existing namespaces, this is partly true. The reason that we want to have them is that we want to have the RBAC rows and rows bindings in the workloads namespace so that the controller can create stateful sets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With hierarchical namespaces, it's a bit more interesting because when you have the top level namespace and you create your row bindings there can be automatically propagated down to the workloads namespaces, which means that as long as you're creating the workloads namespaces as sub namespaces of the root namespace, you should get the row bindings for free.
So I guess what I'm
so
hearing is when you install Irene controller, you should tell it to use the root namespace, and then that will propagate.
Yeah, that requires a bit of tinkering because you would have to use K8s to render the templates to reference that namespace. I mean, you can't just helm install the thing that we already released because the workloads namespace there is called CF workloads or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, this is sort of some technical challenge. But yeah, today we managed to make it work on kind together with API, CF controllers. So
Cool. All right, I think so. We had lumped the installation of it into a different story. It's kind of sounding like it needs its own distinct like GitHub issue just to document that all. I'm wondering if sounds like you all got it working today. So like I'm wondering if we created that issue, if maybe y'all could just like pick it up and document that process.
isn't the script documenting it enough?
Oh, is it in
Or
the
you would like-
script?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's not merged on the main branch though. It's
Okay,
it just
okay.
appeared.
Cool. All right. Yeah, sorry, I missed that it was in the script. I had thought that you did something manual there. Yeah, that's actually probably good. I'll let the people working on the process controller know that that's in. Well, can you just like shoot over the branch that's on?
The branch is called PR install Irene or something. If you open the pull request on the CF and
Nice.
the API repo, I think it's the first one.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. That'll be helpful to sort of understand what's going on there.
And also, while we were working on that task, we faced kind of infrastructural issue that I'm not sure whether today is the correct round to discuss, but if we don't have other topics, then maybe. So the thing is that our Irene build procedure requires carvel tools, which are not available on the GitHub Actions build image. So as a dirty hack, we just install carvel tools as part of installing Irene on kind. But maybe we need our own Docker image that contains all our dependencies so that we don't have to install them on every GitHub Actions run.
It sounds reasonable to create a sort of like toolchain Docker image that contains everything we need.
Yeah.
There has been some discussion around the tool set we're going to use for like templating and deploying. And I think the general feeling is that given the space we're operating in and the knowledge, it'll probably end up being the Carvel tool chain for most of that. But it's not totally a done deal at this point. It might even be a multi-stage thing where we have a base set of like customized because it's built into kubectl, and then layer on some additional stuff. But yeah, that's still open discussion. So if you have strong thoughts on what tool chain we should be using, then please let them be known.
So far with Irene and Garden, we have been maintaining our own Docker images that we just use in Concourse. Probably that's the same thing is possible with GitHub Actions. But then you have the complications. Where do you keep the Docker file? Who builds it? Where do you push it?
Yeah, I think we have a couple places we can put some of these Docker files. We have the Cloud Foundry Docker Hub org that we can put a bunch of this stuff in. Relatively simple to get repos created for that if we need various like CI based images and stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry about that. Just if that's something that would be helpful, just reach out and drop a line and I can get something in the works to get created for you. We just kind of need to agree on what utilities we need in that Docker image, and then we need to figure out a system for keeping it updated, which is, you know, more implementation details than anything else. So yeah.
Isn't it like not to agree on a set of tools, but evolve the image on demand? Meaning that if you need a tool, just add it there. If you don't need it anymore, get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking more just an initial, like, tell us what you need sort of thing. So we'll probably put like Carvel and like JQ and YQ, stuff like that. Obviously there's multiple flavors of YQ. So we need to like choose one of those because they have slightly different syntax, all that. But yeah, perhaps I misspoke slightly. Not a sort of consensus, but more of a just a like initial pass of what everyone needs to have on that image would be, you know, plenty. And then, as you said, we can evolve it from there and add and remove as needed. So yeah, easily doable.
So maybe worth a chore to look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, reach out to me. I can coordinate with Chris and Rom to make sure we get a repo on Docker Hub created for whatever we need. And yeah, that should be relatively simple.
Cool.
Should we use Docker Hub or should we try to use GitHub? Because they seem to have a Docker image registry as well.
Good question. I have not used the GitHub registry yet, so that's a bit of a blind spot for me. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Same here, unfortunately. I wonder if we should give it a try and see if it's reasonable, because they have some like billing limitations, but maybe for open projects, like, I mean, projects that are not private, maybe they don't have these limits, so we can try. And as for the initial tool chain, basically the initial tools, I guess it can just go via normal PR, right? Wherever we choose to put the Docker file, we'll just open a PR and you'll be able to comment on it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds like that'll work pretty well. Cool. I'll make a note to start pulling together a Docker file for just some of the common utilities, especially like the Carvel tool chain, and look into the Docker-based image registry, or sorry, the GitHub-based image registry, and see what we can do. Should be not a problem. And I'll send out what I find if I get anything set up on the CF K8s Dev channel on the Cloud Foundry side. Make a note of that. Cool. All right, just jot down a note. Anything else anyone wants to bring to the table?
Actually, last week I was looking at the proposals because I have to catch up with some of them still. Mainly the American parts. Haven't read all of these, so for me personally, it's a bit confusing and it's a bit hard to find that doc that contains all of them. So I kind of, like an experiment, I created a GitHub project where I summarized all of them, and it's nice because you get all these columns, so it's pretty obvious what state they're in. I think I posted this on Slack, but I'm not sure if everyone managed to take a look or notice that. So I would be interested what we think of this, like if we need to have more proposals like that. Do you think it's a good format? I posted a link to the project in chat, so you can take a look if you haven't.
Personally, I like that sort of thing. I like the whole GitHub projects idea. And I like the idea of splitting out a separate project board for proposals, because otherwise they can get kind of buried in the noise of what's being worked on. So full disclosure, I haven't looked at it yet because I've been kind of away and busy, but conceptually, I like the idea of that. Looks like Eric gave a thumbs up as well. So it sounds like, and Tim got a thumbs up. Sounds like a few of us like that idea. So thanks for taking the initiative to sort of like put that forward as a concept.
Well, I'm glad that you liked it. I can maybe edit then. I can edit the initial proposal and basically edit the links so that it reflects this thing. If you think it's ready, if not, you can give me feedback if you need something to be changed and all that.
I see you drop the link. Yeah, no, I mean, this at first pass looks pretty good. I'll probably want to review it a bit more, but yeah, I think we can bring this out of this meeting into the various teams working on things and say like, hey, this is probably what we're going to do. Everyone take a look. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, this honestly even kind of looks like it could be a good starting point as an official roadmap for the CF on K8s working group. Like, I could see this, you know, maybe there's something about like, maybe once proposals are accepted, you know, tracking them through actually carrying them out and, you know, knowing whether or not they're completed. But, you know, even that looks like a pretty good high level roadmap for the things that we're working on and then potentially thinking about next. So thank you, Georgie. Yeah, this looks really useful.
I mean, it's just a starting point. If we want, we can take it even further by like, we can even use, you know, PRs and markdown documents instead of Google documents if we feel like. If we don't feel like, we can still have those links if we prefer this format. So yeah, I guess we can just everyone feel free to like elaborate on the thing. It's just an initial thing.
No, this looks really good. I like it. So I prefer to keep things in the sort of like GitHub project space because it's a lot more accessible to anyone that doesn't know where everything is already. So this, yeah, this looks like really good.
It's in line with GitHub Actions, and I guess that's why we should probably look into the GitHub Docker register thing to keep everything in one place if possible. If not, we'll think of something.
Cool. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and pop that link onto the document. Cool. All righty. Any other topics people want to bring to the floor? If not a big deal. We can always wait until the next time and get a few minutes back. Cool. Awesome. So again, apologies for not putting up a poll with all the kerfuffle with KubeCon and whatnot. I'll be sure to put up a poll for topics next week. Well, for 2 weeks from now, but I'll put up the poll next week. I think it might be useful to do like some demos of what we're working on with the CF8s stuff in the next couple weeks, just to see where we're at, and people can then point out various blind spots and whatnot. But yeah, the topics we brought today are awesome, and it's definitely going to be helpful moving forward. Again, thank you, Georgie, for making that GitHub project. It looks awesome. And so we should definitely look at using that going forward to make sure we can track proposals appropriately. And thanks, Tim, for bringing the non-deterministic namespace issue to the front, because that's going to be one that's going to be an interesting topic to work through. But unless someone has a burning desire to talk about something right now, I'm going to sort of wrap it up and say thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see y'all in about 2 weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.